We want to thank you for joining our webinar today. It's the webinar with Shantley Lacruz from 3D Concrete, the company on the island of Curaçao. The webinar is pre-recorded. We had the interview with Shantley a week ago. We're going to talk about the following subjects: about how to adopt 3D CP in your organization. The housing design concept is the next webinar that we're going to give on the 25th of October and December the 20th. The PPVC modular construction system that we have patented will also be spoken about in a webinar. So first of all, I want to start with a poll. We were really curious from which content you are watching, for which continent. So can you please fill it in so we can have a look at that? It's almost a private webinar. All right, Europe, Asia. All right, thank you for filling that poll in. The learning objectives that we have for you today is get to know more about the 3D CP partner that we have on the island of Curaçao, 3D Concrete. How 3D Concrete started with embracing 3D CP and what projects 3D Concrete is building, and also what tips 3D Concrete has for the entrepreneurs. We have a small introduction, share the mission and vision concepts that they have, share some projects, adapting the 3D CP into your company, and in the end of the webinar, we have a Q&A to answer all your questions. Hi, Shantley, welcome. Thanks for joining our webinar.
Hi, Jesse, thank you. Thank you for the invitation.
Yeah, no worries. How is everything going over there?
I was pretty busy, the printing and everything, so it's going pretty well, actually. Can't complain.
Sounds great.
Yes.
Shantley, I want to start with a short introduction about 3D Concrete. So who is 3D Concrete and who are you and where are you located? Can you give us a little bit more explanation about that?
Yeah, sure. 3D Concrete is a fresh startup company located in Curaçao. Actually, we're the first 3D company in the Caribbean. We started 3D Concrete actually to provide the islands with a cheaper, faster way to be able to build houses and provide many more solutions to problems that actually worldwide they are present, which is house shortages and many of these things. So that's what 3D Concrete does. All right.
So that explains the why and when you have been started with 3D Concrete, right? So can you explain a little bit more about the why 3D Concrete started with 3D CP in the first place?
Yes. 3D Concrete, we were looking for a cheap, affordable way to make houses, build houses for the market, local market. But still we want to provide the best quality we could get. So we didn't want to provide affordable houses, but without the qualities. And that's what 3D Concrete stands for. That's why we started with 3CP actually, because we're looking for something, a technology, a method to build cheaper, faster, and even be able to even provide better solutions for the housing problem that's existed on the island. And this is the way, the reason why we started with 3D Concrete, to provide sustainable solutions, innovative solutions, and to provide the cheaper and affordable houses.
Can you give us a little bit more of an insight regarding the problem on the island of Curaçao regarding housing?
Yeah, sure. Curaçao is a shortage of housing. There's a waiting list of 80,000 people waiting to be placed in a house. The problem is that the demand is higher than the supply. It has to do with pricing, local pricing. It's very high. House prices are very high. Not everyone can afford a house on the island, and that's what contributes to the list actually. That you have a list of minimum of 8,000 people waiting on the list.
Yeah.
So to tackle this problem, we needed something different, something out of the box. We needed we're looking for a new concept. That's what 3D Concrete stands for. And that's where the 3D printer also helps us with, to be able to provide these people that are the problem cases with houses.
All right. So when did 3D Concrete get interest in 3D-CP?
Well, it started actually about 4 years ago. We started researching about 3D concrete, the procedure behind it, the methods, the different printers that were available, and we were looking for a partner, reliable partner, actually, to start this up with. It started first with the Betonindustrie Gruvegat as another company, and the main reason behind it again is to be able to afford to provide cheaper housing, affordable housing, and reduce construction time, which also reduces your cost. And this is during these years, I think last year, we came across Siebe, and we contacted Siebe also, and we liked the concept, and that's when we decided to start up, make this partnership with Siebe for this type of concrete, or this type of 3D printer.
And what was the main reason why you choose for our RC, or robotic crawler system?
For the mobility, it's compact, it's robust, it's mobility. You can use it to print on-site or off-site. But we are using it to print off-site, but the possibility is always it's endless, you know.
Yeah.
It's so for that comfortability, these possibilities, we chose for this printer.
Yeah, you can see there's a multi-diverse machine.
Exactly.
Right. So you're not only having your own printer at your facility, but you also have your local material development on the island, of course.
Yes.
So can you give some little bit more insight in that process, how that went?
Yes, indeed, we developed our this material, the local materials that we have available. The main reason behind this was to reduce the cost. It reduced the cost a lot. If you can mix the power pack provided by Siebe with our own local materials. Again, we are very dependent on imports. Everything in Curaçao needs to be imported. We are an isolated island. So it's a lot more expensive for us to only use, for example, the material you provide, which is the ready mix material. So by using our own materials, local materials, which we have our own mining company here, it's cheaper and easier for us to provide a cheaper house for the client. The challenges we are faced with this is, of course, you have to make an optimal mix design. You have to look for the right mixture. You have to test and trial and error. But at the end, we were able to get a mix which was efficient. It works, and it also helps us to keep the cost at the minimum for the houses.
Yeah. And was Kevin involved, or material engineer, regarding the facility, how to test everything, check the batch plant, if everything went well during the operational time?
Yes, I was pretty involved. We did along with Siebe, which did a lot of the part with a preliminary test for us. Then also with the training on site, which we had on site here last year. We kept on developing, kept on testing on site. Now at this moment we have a new batching plant we bought for this, so we're only trying to optimize this to make it even better. We bought a brand new dry mixer plant, so with this we even expect it to go even better than it's going now.
All right, sounds great. So Shanti, we want to take a deep dive in your projects that you've already delivered towards your customers. One of is, I saw it a couple of weeks ago on LinkedIn. The septic tanks and the outdoor furniture you guys are producing, it looks really great. Can you tell me a little bit more about those attributes?
Yeah, sure. Indeed, we provide septic tanks, plant pots, chairs, tables, and many more. For example, the septic tanks, we build septic tanks traditionally here with concrete blocks, which takes time. It's less efficient with the septic tanks, prefab septic tanks, which we provide. It's just a matter of making the septic tank in our factory, transporting them on site, and just putting them in the hole. It's a lot easier, it's faster, it's cheaper, and you have way less waste. It's the same with the chairs. The chairs actually, it's just a beauty for the garden. Many people like them for the garden, for the parks, the same as the plant pots, the chairs, the tables. It's sort of outdoor furniture, which is very living on the island. It's always a nice. We also have a nice weather, so it's always nice to have some nice outdoor furniture.
So
Yes.
another project you guys have constructed is the Patio Bungalow. That's the design of our own design and engineering team, created on the Live label. But can you tell me a little bit more about how you guys developed it and constructed in the state that we are seeing it right now?
Okay, of course. Yes, the Patio Bungalow is one of the houses we offer. We offer this house in 3 sizes: 40 square meters, 60 square meters, and 80 square meters. These are choices the clients have to buy, in which they can buy these houses. As you see, it's built pretty, very nice. The foundation is done traditionally. The walls are placed, these are 3D printed, of course, and the roof until now is done traditionally. These are very nice houses. As we said, we wanted to make it as lux as possible. High quality as possible. We didn't want to provide a house that just looks affordable, or looks cheap, but we want to provide a house that it is durable, has high quality, and looks nice for the client. So even though the houses are affordable, they are still nice to live in. Still something to be proud of.
Yeah, it looks really nice because I think you painted it, right?
Yes, we painted. Yes, it's a light green tint. Yes.
Was it hard to paint the surface of the Patio Bungalow in general?
No, it's pretty easy actually. We used 2 methods. We tried the first time with spray paint painting. The second time we just used the normal brush paint method. Both are even the same. There's no gain in time. There's no gain in difficulty in easiness to be able to paint the houses. First, we thought we had to spray painting to make it easier, but it's just the same. The same amount of paint has been used. So actually, it doesn't matter how you paint them, which method you choose. If you do it with the brush or if you do it with a sprayer, both ways are feasible. That's what we found out by doing these projects.
All right. So another project that was constructed, I think, together with the Patio Bungalow is Robles Villa.
Before, actually, before.
Oh, actually, all right.
Yeah, we started before it. Yeah, so Robles Villa is the same. It's also the other model we provide, also in 3 different sizes, starting in 60 square meters, 80 square meters, and 104 square meters. It has an elegant look to it, with the nice big windows, with the woodwork, and it's very loved also by the clients. It's the same concept actually. We want to provide affordable houses, but with an elegant look, with a special quality, high quality look that people will be proud to live in.
All right. And I think we helped during training to create the wall elements of this Robust Villa, right?
Exactly. The Robust Villa was built along with your team during the training here. This is the first building we did. And the Patio Bungalow we saw before was done by our own operators themselves. But indeed, this one was done alongside with your team.
So we were 10 days, I believe, on the island, training you guys. Within those 10 days, all the wall elements were created, right?
Yes, exactly. Within 10 days, yes.
Was it efficient training on along with the project that you're producing?
Yes, it was very busy. We had a deadline, of course, because we had all kinds of events planned. But it was good because you see in real life how the printing is going to be. You're going to see what the points are which you need to take notice of. You're going to see all the things you can encounter. You're going to see in real life. So it was pretty good actually, the way we did it. It was very busy at some moments, but it was good because you learn on the job, as you say, learn by doing.
Yeah. So Sandy, can we have a deep dive into the robust villa and the design itself? I believe it's 11 wall elements that need to be printed, right?
Yes, exactly. House has 11 elements which are printed. We chose to print in our factory prefab style.
Why was that? Why didn't you take the crawl towards the job site, print it over there?
Because for us in our situation, it's more efficient to build prefab style. Why? Because you have to put the printer on location. We have a very hot weather over here. You have our materials are further away from the location, from the print location, the factory. We have all the raw materials at the factory. So if something goes wrong, it's easier to correct it in a factory than on site. So considering all this, and also with the transport cost and everything, it's still more efficient to print in a prefab way for us in our situation.
Yeah.
Because of the hot sun we have here, the dry winds. So unique to our situation, it's better for us to print prefab style. Yeah. That's why we adopted this way also to do it, and it's pretty easy actually. We print the elements in our facility. They're put on a special carrier we designed for the walls on a lowboy truck, transported on site with a crane, hoisted in place. In advance, of course, the foundation floor will be built. It will be marked where every wall needs to come. So it's just a question of numbering the walls and just placing them on their respective places.
Regarding the hoisting of the wall elements itself, how did you know which type of hoisting equipment you needed to attach to the wall elements in order to get them hoisted correctly?
Well, this also was discussed in the training. That's why the training is very important and very enlightening actually. We also get a hoisting manual from your part, from CWIP, which indicates different ways you can hoist actually these elements. Where you can make you can locate anchors or which method you choose to do. All that it's combined in the package. So the training, I say, it's very important, and we learned all that.
All right. So then eventually the walls were transported with a truck towards the job site.
Yes.
Then the walls were secured onto the slab. And got a lot of questions from also think people are watching right now. Is how did you secure the walls to the slab for them?
Okay.
Give a little bit of explanation.
Yes, we use anchors, just rebar of diameter 10 millimeters, 60 centimeters long. We drill holes in the floor slab. We put them in. We put some anchor glue, special anchor glue for concrete. That's the way we put them in the slab. And then after we place the walls over the walls are open on the bottom. Yeah. Because you have a void within the walls. So we place the walls over these rebars which stick out, and then we fill them with the rebar that's needed for the stability. So actually you get and that we fill that with concrete, with that ready-mix concrete. So you get actually one complete attachment. So your floor is going to be attached to your walls, and eventually your walls to your roof.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's pretty easy actually.
Yeah, sounds really easy. And how was the wall connection then being done? So the wall-to-wall connection.
In our case, we just used some type of mortar, a filling mortar. Depends on the gap. Certain places you have a wider gap than other places. At some gaps we just use foam and then fix it up with mortar and plaster it nicely. So it depends actually, the method we use to close up these gaps depends on how big the gap is and where it's located. So we use different, some gaps we close with the mortar, with the fine mortar. Others we foamed first, we're so fine we just kit them with a special kit material. So it depends on how big the gap is that we apply some sort of method to do this.
Okay, yeah, that's fair enough. So eventually you got the wall-to-wall connection, the walls are secured to the slab. Then of course you start with the roof itself. You chose for a traditional slab roofing, I think.
Yes.
So why was that rooftop being chosen for the robust villa and the patio bungalow?
First of all, we wanted to classify the homes as hurricane resistant,
Mm-hmm.
which implies that a concrete roof, if your walls are connected to your floor slab and your roof is connected to your walls, it becomes one construction.
Oh yeah.
It classifies to be hurricane resistant, not hurricane proof, but hurricane resistant. So according to the Eurocode.
Mm.
So this was the first thought. Actually, we don't get many hurricanes in Curacao, but it can happen. So this was actually the first thought behind it. And also, concrete roof is also always more durable. It seems more robust. It seems more efficient.
Mhm.
It's easier. It's cheaper. So it's more durable than a wooden roof or
Yeah.
something like that. So that was the thought behind the whole concrete roof. And we do it at this moment. We still do it the traditional way,
Mhm.
but we are considering to make the roof slabs also prefab. So that's the next phase in this.
All right. So maybe some insights in your current projects that you're working on. So can you tell me a little bit about the current project you are building?
Okay, yes. We have been receiving many orders for houses, apartments, and all that. At this moment, we only offer these two models with some slight adaptations to them, which are possible. So we are now in the process of building printing these houses. What we do is we print the walls in advance. We print them in the facility, and we just leave them there because, of course, you have the whole project to go with the building permits you need to comply with.
Yeah.
Need to be requested according to building codes. We use the same building code as Holland, Bouwbesluit is it called? Same building code, which is also based on the European building code. The houses comply fully with all of this because it's a concrete house.
Yeah.
Only thing that changes is actually the way you apply the concrete, the way you build a house.
Yeah.
So the building method is changed, but there is no change in material. There's no different material you're using. So we comply with all the permits. That's the way also we will be able to build the other two buildings, which we have standing already. It's fire resistant with the strength. Everything has been tested. It's been accorded also, and we comply with all these building codes requirements for the local building codes here. So what we do is in advance, while waiting for these permits because that takes a little bit of time, some months. That's the normal process here before you get a permit. In this period, we build the walls, we print the walls, and we just leave them in facility. It saves us a lot of time because by the time that the building permits are ready, are finished, are available, we just have to transport these walls on site. In the meantime, then we will have built the foundation already. We will have the first slab will be finished. So it's just a question of taking these walls, transporting them on site. It saves a lot of time instead of waiting for the building permits and then starting to build. So that's the strategy we apply to this.
And the little side effect is that the walls that will be already are being printed are much stronger when you ship them towards the job site than when they
exactly
24 hours of hardening time, of course.
Exactly.
All right. So what are the main advantages you guys see that 3D concrete printing has to offer?
Okay. Well, what it is mentioned was one of the advantages actually.
Mm-hmm.
You can plan in advance with your houses. It's gonna be it's gonna be very messy if you have to build traditionally, and you want to start stocking all the building materials in advance on the site. It will be a big mess because everything will be standing in the way. But with the printing, I'm just printing walls. I have a designated place to place them, to keep them until the day. So I don't have a lot of waste. I don't need a lot of space, except of storage space, of course. But on the building side,
just one material, of course.
Exactly, it's just one material. So I don't have so many factors, many materials on site. So that's an advantage. You can build in this way. It gets some kind of a series type of building, which means I can build more in less time. For example, if I have 10 orders, I don't have to wait for 10 orders to come in or for 10 orders to start building them one by one. I can start building the walls, the elements for 10 houses and just keep them in the factory, in the facility. So with that, you gain a lot of efficiency by doing this prefab method, actually, applying this prefab method to it.
Yeah.
And that's one of the advantage. And also your construction time goes down, which again saves you cost. You can work with less people. You can scale up your production. You can make it as big as you want, of course, with the limitation of the printer, but you can make it as big as you want because you now do everything, you plan everything in advance, and you can do more. You don't wait just for the order to come in and then to start, but you can start in advance.
Yeah, I got a question about planning the schedule of those projects. How many projects could you do if you do it on a prefabricated way in your factory? Do you know the number?
We now calculate it on a yearly basis. We can do about 50, 60 projects.
All right.
If it's all planned well. It's taken a bit broad, but around that number.
All right. So you can.
With a good planning and with one printer.
Yeah. So with one printer, I can create 50 houses in 1 year, and then
Yes.
based on the robust villa and the patio bungalow, I think, right?
Yes, and it's based on 8 hours. If you make it a double shift, you can double it easily.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's just depending on what you want to do because we chose at this moment we still do 8-hour shifts, but we are thinking also to make it maybe two shifts. So
All right.
these are possibilities you can do.
And how many operators do you need to have then in your factory to create?
We currently have 4 operators.
All right.
4 operators and 1 trainee, so that's more than enough.
Yeah. And all those 4 operators always working together on those wall elements once you're producing them?
Yes, yes. They all have the specific task, but they all can do everything regarding the printer. That's the idea also.
Yeah.
That everyone is able to shift and do everything, know about everything. But all these operators have the specific tasks which they comply with, which you do during the printing, the preparation, doing the transports and all that. So you need to have an efficient team. Which
maybe we can zoom in a little bit about more into your team within a few minutes. So the future projects. Can you tell a little bit more about the project you had? Yeah, give us a heads up already a couple of weeks ago. About 40, 50 houses you guys want to print. The big project on the island.
Yes, we have a lot of projects pending. One of them indeed is a client which want to do about 36, 40 houses at once, which is a big project. Of course, in this case, he'll provide his own designs. We'll try to make a design together.
All right.
For that amount, of course. But that's a big one we got. But the interest is high, and the projects they keep flowing in daily. So we even getting requests for neighboring islands.
All right.
Aruba, Bonaire. Yes. So it's a new concept. That really has been embraced. Besides that, we have a couple of houses. Many of them are vacation houses to rent houses.
Yeah.
Rental houses. So yes, the projects, there are a lot of projects. Yes, these houses. There's a lot of demand.
Sounds you guys have a busy time.
Yes.
So Shanti, I want to zoom in on the tips for organizations if you are interested in 3D concrete printing, how you can adapt that technology. So really curious what steps have been taken to start with 3D concrete printing with at your organization. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? Yeah,
sure. I think one of the first steps taken was to make the internal culture fit for this. It's a new innovative concept. So we need actually to internally, it needs to be understood what it is, what can be done with it. So you need to fit the culture actually internally to be able to adapt this technology. I think that's the first step, most important step.
You always got people who then do the grinder thing, you know?
Yes.
I'm not gonna do that, right?
No.
How do you get those guys turned around like, yeah, we're gonna do that?
No. Well, actually, what we did is we selected a very young team. Because young people are mostly very innovative and open to change. So our team we put together it consists of very young members, which are very open-minded, solution-oriented, which is very important. Because I think that's the first step actually before you start printing, before you do anything, you need to have the right mindset.
Yeah.
Because it's a new technology, it's not as used to the way you build traditionally. Everything is different. Everything needs to be almost reinvented because the way you work, the way you hoist, the way you transport, the way you build, everything is different. When you build, you gotta build in mind that okay, it's gonna be a 3D printed wall. So the way you do the things, the order you do things are different, and you need to have a team that's open-minded. Your internal culture needs to be fixed towards that goal actually before you can start doing anything. So I would say that's the first step, cultivating the internal culture to be innovative, adaptive, and not fixed-minded.
Get everybody on the same path towards
Exactly.
success with the same vision. It's really important. Totally agree on that one. So you spoke a little bit about a team, how you select them. So you talk about young guys, open vision, open-minded.
Yes, exactly.
Which type of skills do the guys have in your team?
Okay. First of all, the first skills we were looking at were actually, as I said, the open-minded skills. To be part of this team or to be part of such a team, you need to be solution-oriented. You would be able to recognize problems, but not only remain stuck at the problem, but also come up with solutions. How we're going to solve this? That's for the continuity of the project, of the printing and everything. You'll be able to switch very quickly and to tackle the problem at hand at the moment. Because again, it's a new concept, so there will be some bumps on the road, but it's about how we overcome these bumps.
Yeah.
So that's a few of the skills we were looking for. Also, communication. They need to be able to communicate very well with each other about changes in things. To be able to be analytical. You need to understand what's going on with the material, recognize what's going to happen, anticipate what's going to happen. For example, if the material changes, if something changes in a mixture, it will give you some warnings before it gets really bad.
Yeah.
So you need to be able to identify these warnings and act on them before it becomes a bigger problem. So these are a few of the skills you need. Also, you need to be very hands-on. You will get dirty. It's not a clean job.
Nope.
You will get dirty in raw materials, cement, and whatever you're building with. So you need to be practical. You need to be very hands-on mentality.
Yeah.
Able to shift quickly, to adapt quickly, think of solutions quickly, be open-minded, not fixed-minded. But this is the way how it's supposed to be, yes. But is there another way it can be done? If yes, we can do it this way. Can we do it more efficiently? So you need always to be bettering yourself, improving yourself with the technique.
Yeah, we'll learn by doing, right?
Yes, learning by doing, exactly. Because again, it's not an established concept as yet. Worldwide, it's a new concept. It's a very young concept. So there's still a lot of things to be figured out, and you only do that by doing. You only learn by doing in this case.
Yeah, I think experience and gaining experience with the team is really important, right?
Yes, exactly.
So are those the guys that we see on the picture? Is that your total team of operators?
Yes. These are my four. This is a team, the 4 operators.
They still work with you, right?
Yes.
So they got the skills to do it.
Yes. They do the magic.
Great.
They do all the magic. So it's a wonderful team actually. It's a very good team. They communicate very well with each other. They're very united, and they come up with solutions together. And I can just trust them with the work, and that's the important part. I can trust them to be innovative. I can trust them to be solution oriented. I can trust them to print as efficiently as possible.
Yeah. So how did you get it up and running? How did you prepare the organization and facilities for the 3D concrete printer when it was?
Okay. In the beginning, it was for us very new. We did not know what to expect. So we started out with a smaller building we had. We thought, okay, we're going to print in here. But again, by learning and doing, we saw there were many hiccups and many things that went that could be going more efficiently. So we
Can
changed
you
the
give
location.
some examples, Shanti, then about what you were saying?
For example, we made a door.
Hmm.
We built a door in one of the buildings. I think it's about 4 meters wide and 5 meters high. So we thought, okay, we're good with this. So the walls are going to be about 3 meters max in height, so we can transport them easily. But when we actually transported, we noticed that it was a bit too difficult for the crane truck to enter the building, even with the 5 meter height. So these are just a little example of things that you think that you have it, but it's just unexpectedly.
Yeah.
Also, we noticed, for example, if you have, it's easier to have a higher building with more height. Why? Because it's going to be easier to transport a wider building. That's going to be easier for the crane truck to maneuver inside. It's also easier to stock the walls. For example, we make a wall plan on site, depending on where the building is going to be built, which walls need to go first, so you can have an efficient way of hoisting and working with a crane.
Yeah.
For example, the first one, the crane had to move several times from location, which takes a lot of time, which makes it all more difficult to do. So afterwards, we started to make a wall plan, and we designed the wall plan, and we transport the walls according to that wall plan. So you know which wall need to go first. So you even have to take caution with this with your printing, because you have to know which wall you're going to print where and at what side, so it doesn't stand in the way when you transport the walls. So these are just a few example practical things you learn by doing, because again, it's a new concept. We didn't know what to expect.
Yeah.
But
it's about optimizing the process within the factory itself. So
yes, exactly, yes. So I have to say, after the first building, the other buildings, they just went smoothly. So all these hiccups were identified, solutions were thought of, innovative way to do things were thought of, and now it just goes as a train. So even our productions goes easier, faster, more efficient. So but you got to start somewhere. So
yeah. So which kind of tips do you have for organization to create an efficient strategy, an effective strategy to adapt
several.
Great, building.
The first one to say again, stress on it, is how you assemble your team. Internal culture. That's, I would say, be the number one. Because without an efficient team, without an open-minded team, an innovative team, you cannot make it. Again, it's a new concept, so you need to have new ways to do things. You have to be innovative to do things. So I think the first and major tip I would give would be to take care. Don't overlook how you assemble your team. Don't overlook how you organize the organization. Don't overlook how you plan your things. I think planning is very important also, to make it more efficient. I mean, you can do fine by building 5 houses maybe in, let's say, in 6-7 weeks or less, even less. But you could make it 10, you could make it 15.
Yeah.
If you plan efficiently. So everything is planning, having the right mindset, and also just don't be afraid to make mistakes. I mean, you learn by doing this. It's a new concept. Just do it and you'll be fine. So I think these are the tips I can give. Yes.
All right. Sounds great and sounds fair enough.
Yeah.
So this is the closing part. Shanti, I want to thank you for your participation on this webinar. We got the socials right here, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. You also got some movies on YouTube, right?
Yes. Now not on YouTube. No, on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram.
All right. And if you want to visit the guys' website, it's 3dconcretecaribbean.com. If you want some more information, Shanti, the email address mentioned here, is that one you will reply on, or your?
Yes, 3dconcrete@bip.yayo.com.
All right.
Possible to print. So we've got a sort of secured mechanism in it, so we know that the print that we move towards our printer is also able to do that. If that doesn't answer your question, Mohammed, then please send us another text message. Are there any more questions that I can answer for you guys? What is your thought on comparisons between digital casting system and 3D CP? Great question. I think that's two different ways of producing it. A digital casting system. Do you mean a mold, like create those shapes with a mold technique? Because if that's the case, it's two different worlds. Casting method that a lot of companies are prefabricated elements are being created in concrete factories are being made as a prefabricated method. Our machine is multi-diverse, and I think with 3D CP, the costs for a mold are not there. You can make organic or dynamic shapes based upon a design that you have, and it doesn't add up to the total cost price of the element itself. If you do that in a precast way, that's going to cost you a lot of money due to the fact you need to make a mold. Mohammed has an interesting topic. I make my own mold design, so I hope to have a demo version of the software to test my. All right. The chisel can be downloaded as an add-in for Rhino. It's available in the marketplace, so feel free to download it. You can get a 14-day trial, and eventually it's also available to purchase. Any more questions? If not, then we're going to close the webinar for today. We believe sharing is caring. So all those technologies that we and all the studies that we did with our partners are being mentioned in our library. We've got our operator wrote a stator course for our machinery, but also how to create and design modules for 3D printing. So thank you for attending. What's next? The next webinar will be how to reduce the D&E costs with 3D CP. And that will be on the 25th of October on 4 o'clock Central European time. So thank you for joining us. Subscribe, please, for the next webinar. It's really interesting how you can reduce the costs. I think it's really informative. You can learn a lot from it if you're really interested in 3D CP. And hopefully we can see you and you join us the next time. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.